Welcome back to the podcast. I have on with me the 2018 Valedictorian of Ketchikan High School, Largim Zhuta. How's it going, man?
It's going good. It's going really good.
So you have finished your degree in mechanical engineering at Santa Clara, and now you're working on the master's. Is that right?
I'm actually working on both at the moment. I'm in my senior year, but they have a program here, a 4+1. You can start working towards your master's while you're in undergrad.
Nice.
And so I enrolled in that. I figured I think I'll be able to do it almost for free. I think I'll be able to get grad school for free, maybe even make a little money from TAing. So I would have done the impossible in the 21st century, make college profitable for the student.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. That isn't that is it some sort of secret that you shouldn't be telling anybody, that because everything is supposed to be super expensive, right? Isn't a semester $200,000?
Yeah, pretty much. $60,000 a year or a quarter. So.
Oh, it is pretty expensive.
That's about it.
Wow.
Yeah, but I think the school gives out a decent amount of aid. But yeah, I can't really give out secrets. I think I saw some black vans pull up here, so it's not good.
Well, they've probably been tracking you since that blue light that was in my classroom with all the discussions we had in science fiction lit. So, yeah.
Yeah, definitely made it on some list.
Yeah. That's fun. It was so much fun. There was a special group that you guys that we had, A, because it was pre-COVID, and then B, just a bunch of really smart kids. It was a lot of fun to just talk about stuff, and it didn't really matter what it was. You just had people just throwing out ideas, and we could discuss. There was this almost unwritten rule, I guess, or understanding we all had that, hey, we're discussing literature. We're talking about books. Let's dive into it. It was pretty fun. Did you find college was like a next level of that, where it's let's talk about ideas, let's expand the minds, or was it maybe a little underwhelming?
Overall, it was underwhelming. It was underwhelming. The one class I had my freshman year, I remember it was like a critical thinking and writing course, and it was the topic. I think it was intersectionality and whether is the playing field really level for everyone, like equal rights versus equal opportunity, et cetera, et cetera. That is the last class I can remember where we actually had a good discussion. None of the students were really afraid to voice their opinions. There wasn't really much judgment. And this is strangers. I mean, like, to be fair, in your class, I've been going to school with that group for, the better part of my life at that point. And so you have that comfort, you have that, you know who they are. They're not just a stranger, and you're like, oh, what are they going to think if I say this? Or no, you knew them. You knew them before, they started working out those ideas, and so I think that made it easier.
Yeah, I have a lot of people ask questions about whether or not, the kids from Ketchikan are prepared, and whether or not, graduates are ready for the real world. And I think they're probably more than a lot of kids, because even though it's an island in Southeast Alaska, like you said, we've had these kids that have been with each other for a long time. And so when you can take a class as a junior, senior, that's, right up your alley, wheelhouse of adventure, survival lit, or a science fiction lit, or folklore and fairy tales, war and film, you have that built-in rapport, and the teacher, and you can have a teacher 3, if not 4 years in English. And so you have that built-in rapport, so you can really, you've established a good line of trust. And then summer jobs are great because you got so many people are working with communication type things or leadership roles, kayak guides since they're in 8th grade. So when they go out into the real world, it's like, well, I've talked to adults before, I've done fundraising, I've done all these things. Like, it's not a big deal. I can do this. I can tackle this. Did you feel that you were super prepared?
I did. Looking back on it, the initial quarter, the culture shock, literally going from a community of about 12,000 to a metropolitan area like San Jose, where the total population of the whole surrounding area can easily get to 1 million. The moment I went to a Niners game that first year with 2 of my roommates, and I sat there in the stadium looking around, and I was like, oh my gosh, there's 65,000 people is the capacity of the stadium, and it was pretty full. It was pretty full. And I was like, there's like almost 5 times as many people in this stadium than there was in my entire town growing up.
Yeah, that was one of the appeals of University of Arizona for me, just the scale of the athletics. And going to a basketball game, there's 17,000 people. This is crazy. Kloak had a nice little cheering section of, 15, 20, loyal people, but it's just small. And man, you get to that Division I level or then your professional level, and it's a really cool thing to experience.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But to get back to your question, I do think kids from Ketchikan are pretty well suited. I think like education wise, I don't think it excels or is worse really than anywhere else. I mean, I don't know. I think we have decent resources from that perspective, but also we have a lot of teachers who care about their job, and it shows in K-High, the middle school, elementary school, all of it. I mean, they care about their job. Like, it's a community. It's not just a job for them. It's like more than that. And I think that plays a huge factor.
Yeah, I think that's kind of a chicken and the egg thing too. Is the culture created by the kids or by the staff? And a lot of staff members would say it's totally the kids. Like, the reason why things are the way they are here is because you kids would respond to when we would push you academically. When we would say, hey, that's not the type of conduct, that's not what you need to be doing at your school. Like, that's all student done. There's kind of this illusion, I guess, of control and power on the part of the staff, but mostly it's just how the kids treat their school, each other, and what their approach is when they come to the classroom. So I would say that it's largely you kids that created that rather than teachers. And obviously you have to have competent teachers who do care, but it's so much more, it's a lot easier when you do have kids who are showing up and who are ready to get after it. It just makes it that much more fun. It brings the best out of us because it's worth it.
Yeah, I'll give you that one. I mean, sure.
Yeah.
Just thinking back to the classmates I had, like the people I was surrounded with. I mean, the Kerry Thomases, Max Varela's, just those type of friends I had, those groups. So yeah, I can see that playing a role too.
Do you stay in touch with a lot of those kids? I know I lost touch with pretty much all my friends when I went to college, and it wasn't like it was a bad thing, but you feel like you invest so much time and energy into these friends, and all of a sudden they're gone.
Yeah, no, unfortunately, I really haven't stayed in touch with the majority. Two of them, three close friends. And these are like friends from elementary school, so like there's even more history than just coming to K-High in middle school. But other than that, not really. That's not really. But then you also see like there's a lot of social media on Instagram, whatever. So you kind of know how they're doing, seeing it, what they're doing, where they are. Like at what point in their life. I mean, many of them are graduating now, but or still working. But yeah, you're not in touch directly, but you still know what they've been up to, especially for the ones who use it heavily.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that college friendships are more important than high school because you're closer to that jumping off point where you're going to be an adult and you're going into a career and things like that? Do you think it's more important to choose quality friends and people to go through life with in college or high school, or does it matter? It's a ridiculous question. What do you think?
I think the friends you choose in college can have a lot larger of an impact. I mean, you're away from home, so you don't really have the parent authority / responsibility figure there to guide you, making sure you make the right decisions. And so, I mean, to be fair, I personally think by that point you should have a better idea, how to take care of yourself, but it rarely is the case. And so I think the friends you choose in college can have a pretty significant impact on your trajectory in college and from that point and beyond. High school friends, I mean, you still got your parents, and so like how much of an influence are your friends on you? How much are you an influence on them, parents? So I think it's a bit more complicated at that level, but here I think a bad group in college, I think, can really mess you up. And I really think a good group in college can take you places you've never been in terms of industriousness, productivity. I'm just trying to think back to my group. Sorry to cut you off, but
no.
I felt like academics in school has been my thing. if that was a sport, that'd be my sport. But coming here, just the people I was roommates with, just geniuses too. And like, and relative to me, I thought, I mean, 4.0 as Victorians, like my little apartment suite I had my first year, literally half the students in there were valedictorians. That was like, that did not mean anything. I was like, whoa. And then, competed in robotics competitions. One of them even had their own patent when he came here. And I was like, geez. Right? And so I was like, oh my gosh, these guys are another level. And so having them as a friend group, I think, has been awesome. I mean, you just can't help but be productive and industrious when you're surrounded by it.
Was it kind of intimidating to be around people who were so exceptional, or was it just, all right, let's check into the game, let's do this?
Let me see. I think initially there was a little fear for my part, like worried, like, oh man, like this is like so much of my identity, like I said, was tied to my academic success, and seeing like these other students were just had achieved so much more. It was like a little intimidating at first, but I kind of got over it quickly. I realized, classes that were actually tough. A 4.0, having a 4.0 in college means something as opposed to high school. Not to say all you high school kids who are holding on to a 4.0 keep it up. I mean, it for sure helps. It helps a lot. But after a while, I don't know, you just get your butt kicked in one or two classes, and then it becomes less about the grade and more about just trying to learn the material and get the work ethic to achieve success beyond that.
So what are you looking at doing now? What like you got a little bit of a buffer as you're earning your master's, but are you looking to like entrepreneurial sort of route, or where do you want to take this mechanical engineering thing?
Eventually, I would like to do that, but I've been doing a lot of reflection regarding that, and I don't say this in a negative way, but I'm not sure if I personally am that entrepreneurial type. I feel like there are people who are great leaders and starters, and I think you also have great, soldiers, if you will, people who you can trust to complete a task, like a number 2 or number 3 at a company. And I don't know, personally, I think I've been more comfortable with the latter than the former. But I don't know. We'll see. We still got time. All it takes is a good idea or two. So, but as of now, yeah, just get masters and maybe some work experience would probably be useful.
Has anything like changed as far as prospects go? Because I'm asking a lot of these questions because it's difficult. It's impossible for anybody who's not in college right now to say, "Oh, this is what college is like." It's totally different, and even before the pandemic, it was totally different. Just the idea of what the prospects were, and you're about ready to graduate college, and there's this job or this job or this job, or here's what I can do with my life. Everything is different. Do you feel generally optimistic about the way things are going to shake out, or are you hesitant? Is that why you're choosing maybe less of a entrepreneurial path, or what do you got going on in your head?
I'm optimistic. I'm definitely optimistic. I mean, it's hard not to be. I'm surrounded by engineers, scientists, like literally some of the smartest people I've ever met, which isn't saying much, but still, and just seeing like solutions that they're coming up with, like even just like actual, like, because I'm in my senior design project. We have to, all the engineers of the school have to form groups, find some problem that exists, either commercial, humanitarian, industry, whatever it may be, and then we have to build something to address that issue. And then seeing some of these other groups, some of their work, it's hard not to be optimistic. I mean, you see so many bright minds working to solve problems and like make the world, as cliche as it may sound, just make it a little bit better. It's hard not to be optimistic. And I myself, I'm optimistic when it comes to job opportunity and life after college. It's there's so much opportunity, so many problems that need to be solved, and so I'd say it's hard not to be optimistic.
Yeah. Do you think it's overwhelming, the amount of problems that we have? And there's also, like with the entrepreneur thing, it seems like a lot of people are going into it as like, oh, I want to be a serial entrepreneur. Well, what does that mean? Like you're going to try to exploit as many different user groups as possible? Does it mean that you're going to, fail at a whole bunch of things? Or are you going to go into to try to solve problems? What do you think What do you think about are the problems that we have, and then also like what it is to be an entrepreneur? I know they're kind of two different things. I kind of took you in two different directions there, but it kind of came to mind.
For sure. Oh man, let me think about that.
Yeah, we'll go with we'll piece it out first. What about the problems? Like, does it seem like there's an overwhelming amount of problems? Like something that this project could help this tiny thing, but as far as, I mean, it's just a drop in the bucket or tub or the ocean compared to what we need to do.
After years of fine print contracts and getting ripped off by big wireless providers, if we've learned anything, it's that there's always a catch. So when I first heard that Mint Mobile offers premium wireless starting at just $15 a month, I thought, what's the catch? But after talking to them and using their service, it all made sense. There isn't one. Mint Mobile's secret sauce is that they're the first company to sell wireless service online only. They cut out the cost of retail stores and pass those sweet savings directly to you. For anyone who hates their phone bill, Mint Mobile offers premium wireless for just $15 a month. I was hesitant about having to get a new phone and a new phone number, but with Mint, you can use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and keep your same phone and your same phone number along with all of your existing contacts. Mint Mobile gives you the best rate whether you're buying for one or for a family, and at Mint, families start at 2 lines. All plans come with unlimited talk and text plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Switch to Mint Mobile and get premium wireless service starting at just $15 a month. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and to get the plan shipped to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/waypoint. That is mintmobile.com/waypoint. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/waypoint.
Yeah, it definitely feels that way. And it's not, maybe it's not how many problems there are. And when I say problems, and this is because I've been an engineer for the last 3 years, I'm thinking like technical problems, mainly like as it revolves around climate change. That's the big one here, especially in California. That's the problem, probably the problem of our generation that will continually be an issue. But it's just such a large problem, and sometimes it does feel overwhelming because I feel like we've been accustomed to think of, oh, there has to be one solution. Specifically talking about climate change now, but when it comes to that, it just seems unrealistic that there will be one thing that will solve it all, barring nuclear fusion.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's going to be a lot of incremental changes, a lot of small solutions. Plug a hole here, plug a hole there, patch this up, and yeah, it's definitely. I don't think there's a lack of problems in the world. I don't think that at all. But is it overwhelming? Sometimes it can be. I think sometimes it can be when you become aware of them. And
yeah, I think the thing about climate change that makes it so much difficult too is that we're not dealing with like a full spectrum of ideas. It seems like so much of you create these stereotypes, these stock characters on both sides. You have the people who don't think it exists and they want to go shoot caribou with oil cannons, and then you have the other side who think that they can just supply the world's energy with solar panels. And
so right.
So but the real conversation about things that we can do to be good stewards of the earth involve a lot of different things, like nuclear technology. I mean, if it's about carbon, then we should be addressing nuclear. And nuclear has all this stuff. Well, and it's potentially bad, and there's nuclear waste, and it's unstable, and it's unsafe. But we got nuclear subs. We have nuclear aircraft carriers. Like the defense technology is definitely in a different place than it is publicly, which makes sense because you wouldn't be able to have, everybody with that technology. But there's a lot of good stuff and a lot of places that we can go as far as doing things, even if you don't want to call it climate change. Let's find more efficient and better ways to heat, to move, to do all these things.
Yeah, and I like that a lot. And I think that's the view I've come to adopt here. It's just there's just better ways of doing it for many places. Like solar, it's put on a pedestal and championed as the solution, but that is the solution for areas that get sun near the equator, like absolutely. But for areas, let's say like back home in Alaska, Ketchikan, whatever it may be, it's like, you really? That's not the best idea. I don't think we should be doing that. I don't think anyone is saying that back home, but people realize that there's more, don't realize that the world is pretty diverse in terms of climate and weather patterns. And so solar, not the big solution, but yeah, there's so many technologies that are out there available and doing their part. It's not like they've been shelved, but yeah, like I said, it's not going to be one thing that's going to solve it all. It's going to be little changes here and there, taking maybe even patterns of how we use energy and whatnot. I've noticed here there's a lot more conservation efforts of energy, like don't waste this, don't waste that. It's just different the way people view energy and how they use it here than other places I've been in.
Yeah, if we definitely wanted to do something about it, we wouldn't fly. Like that would be one way that we can cut back. I mean, you could take your own bag when you go to the grocery store. That's wonderful. You save 2 or 3 bags. But yes, also don't fly anywhere. Stop
plastic straws.
Yeah,
give yourself a pat on the back.
It's just symbolic little things, and the notion is, of course, that it's a small little thing, and these small little things can create weight or end up snowballing in a positive manner. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff. I've been hearing about there's a lot of stuff going up here with kelp farms and whatnot as a good resource, foods, proteins, and then cleaning up the oceans. And then also I heard something about using the tide for energy, and I just thought about a whole bunch of herring just getting decimated by going into this harvesting of the tide.
I did some research on a tidal power for a little report, and it generally impacts ecosystems, and there's only specific areas where you can put them in. I can't remember what the term was, but almost like cove areas where you kind of like have to build like a wall sort of deal. And but they impact the local life, marine animals, whatnot. Yeah. But that could also have its uses. So that would make more sense back home, Ketchikan, Alaska.
Yeah, nothing's going to be totally clean, but I just think about one of those tidal things, and it's working, it's supplying some energy, and then like humpback whale gets in there or something like that, or if you try to do and Cook Inlet, because they have those massive bore tides, and I think it's the second biggest tide differential in the world. So I would think that would generate more energy. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm often wrong. But like a beluga whale, they have hardly any beluga whales there. So if you got one of those, and then all of a sudden, but I don't know, nothing's going to be perfect, but we have to do something.
Yeah. And the other thing, if we're having this conversation of energy, is finding a way to store it during times when we don't need it. That's the big issue with renewables is, sure, renewables be able, let's say they are able to supply us when we need them, but then there will come times when we're producing way too much. And unfortunately, as of now, like we have storage systems in place, but they're not where they should be to where we utilize all of it. And so finding storage mediums, I mean, lithium ion's the big one right now. It's like in terms of energy density, they're really hard to beat. But then certain places, like I said, like in Ketchikan, if you can find a way to, like, we're pretty good about storing energy when it comes in the form of rainwater, but if there are other ways, just maximizing storage, that's another key part of this discussion and debate that's going on. It's not so much the energy sources, it's we have enough energy, we can produce enough using renewables, just can we store it and then transport it effectively. Like if we were to put that tidal power up north in an area where there aren't that many whales, well, I mean, you only have a few villages scattered all about, so it'd be hard to transport it over the distance, power losses, and then the infrastructures.
That would be a really interesting debate to see who comes out for that, because drilling of oil and you're building the roads over the tundra, but if it was building roads to a place where they were generating energy and then you're storing it in your Tesla power packs and then shipping them off, if people would be like, well, we're making renewable stuff. It's not oil, so it'd be fine. Let's cut as many roads as we need to in order to get access to this energy creation that we can ship all around the world. It's way cleaner, but is it going to be better for the tundra? That'd be an interesting.
Yeah. And then the one side of that debate definitely can take the moral high ground on it and argue from that perspective as well. I think that will be an interesting debate, because I mean, there's no way around it. Like, you're still going to have to, like you said, effectively cut through nature and the tundra and whatever to get that sort of stuff to happen. But yeah, I think that will be an interesting debate, and sort of outside my wheelhouse at this point. This is just, as a disclaimer, this is just like basic level undergrad research I've done. So,
well, I'm a journalism major, so I'm I'm kicking well beyond my coverage here. Yeah, I'm just trying to sound smart and keep up with the Santa Clara mechanical engineering student. Speaking of Tesla, do you have one? Do you want one? Have you seen a lot of them around there? I saw a whole bunch when I was down in La Jolla for Christmas.
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, I live 30 minutes from Palo Alto, and they have like a little, I think the Fremont plant is also nearby, 20 minutes. So there's, I think, almost every other car I see. I mean, slight hyperbole, but there's a lot of Teslas here. Definitely a lot. What do I think? Would I want one? They're definitely cool cars. Don't get me wrong. From an engineering perspective, what they've done, especially like combining the software, integrating software so much more into a computer. I mean, you don't really have to go get it serviced aside from like brakes, tires, etc. It's like, oh, you want to take it to a mechanic? Well, that mechanic is actually a piece of software you just put in and it updates everything. So, I don't know. Yeah. The only thing I have, like, I don't mind electric cars, but the batteries, that's another huge issue. What happens once they've lived their life, so to speak, and you got to recycle them and all that. I mean, lithium ion, it's like awesome, but it's also really nasty to recycle and compose a ton of hazards. And then where are you getting your power from? And if you have to fire up a coal power plant to charge your battery,
yeah.
It's like, how good can you actually feel about that? So,
yeah, it doesn't mean we shouldn't do it. It just means that it's okay to acknowledge that this is the reality of things. We have to get the elements that we need for the battery itself through mining and then put it together. But, that's fine. Like, everything is interconnected. It's not a simple sort of this is better than this and I'm better than you because of it. But and then we have to get better, too. The Prius was kind of a joke when it first came out. Then it was really big. And then, and all the people who, like a truck owner like me, would be like, oh, Prius, there's no power. Can't pull a truck or can't pull a boat. But now you got Ford coming out with their electric car, and you got the Tesla powered fine. So, yeah.
Exactly. I mean, all the major car companies, I mean, Chevy's coming out with an electric Silverado. Like you said, Ford had theirs. You got the new startup Rivian. Like, I'm a fan of electric cars, just from a performance standpoint and normal climate areas, like not super cold, super hot. They're just, you can't, internal combustion engines, I don't think can really compete with them.
Yeah. I go ahead.
No, I was going to list out some other stuff, but go ahead. Nothing important.
I would be really interested to see how an electric car, there's a couple Teslas that have come around Ketchikan, to see how they last in the salt water, in the rain, in the, they put that de-icer down on the roads on those mornings with black ice when there's a lot of snow. I wonder if there's going to be, if it's going to be fine, if it's going to be a little bit worse. I don't know. That would be my concern with a truck too. If you got the power, man, what they've done, it's not the little Prius thing anymore. I mean, these things are real. But that would be interesting to see. I wouldn't want to be the first person with the new F-150 or a nice Tesla truck up here. I'd want to kind of see how things go.
For sure.
Wait a couple of years.
Yeah. And relatively speaking, I mean, Tesla is a newer company, so me personally, I would think they might have a harder time in those harsher climates. But a company like Ford or GM, I mean, they've been making cars for a long time, and so while like the powertrain technology might be slightly new, I think a lot of like the material selection stuff, I think that they would probably be a bit better at handling, those harsher climates. So, but Yeah, it should be interesting to see. Definitely, that's going to pose an issue, I think, for those smaller areas.
And then kind of going back to that entrepreneur thing a little bit, do you see like the workforce and entrepreneurship, it can be both. There just seems like there's a big narrative about everybody's a bunch of greedy jerks. Capitalism is horrible. How does that impact you when you're going to go out and be a part of it? You're going to join the workforce, either, like you said, more than likely, maybe try to get on and ascend to the level of number 2 or number 3 in a good business, a good workforce. How does the narrative surrounding American business impact your thoughts of your future?
Well, when it comes to, like, I guess businesses, like the small businesses, I don't think really many people have a problem with that. But then they look at like the Amazons and the Facebooks and these powerful and wealthy entities, and I think that's where a lot of the hate, so to speak, and the judgment is thrown towards. And so, unless I can somehow get Zhuta Enterprises to that level, I think then I would start being worried. But like from a small business standpoint, I don't think it would affect my perception. I don't think it affects many people's, because they realize the differences between the two. But that greedy capitalist entrepreneur, I mean, I don't like stereotyping, but you definitely see, like, the business school here is very big. It's a huge, I think Santa Clara is known for their business school. And so you see a lot of the business folk, and some of the stuff, like, you'll hear them talking about businesses. It's all very, like, objective, like, just here to make money. Like, I mean, it is capitalist, so, like, for profit, but it's a little concerning. That's the thing, because, like, I mean, that can get you in trouble for sure. Like, if you're just seeking profits, you're certainly gonna do stuff that you're not supposed to, or that you shouldn't do. But, and so for the early people in the business school here, I think you hear a lot of that sort of talk. But I think Santa Clara, I think, is exceptional at, like, trying to, be like formate a conscience, that you do, the right thing in relation to business and seeking profit. Like you have a goal outside of that as well, a secondary goal for the benefit of the society or community.
Yeah, it's such a difficult thing, because the more successful business is, the more that it's provided a product that has been deemed necessary. Everyone likes to hate on Amazon, but how many people, especially during the pandemic, were ordering the heck out of stuff on Amazon and were able to get supplies and things? And so it's, oh, you hate Amazon, it's terrible, it's taken over. But yeah, man, they have absolutely crushed online shopping. Should they be punished for that?
It changed the game. Yeah. Well, that's the question. Because like, you shouldn't. I don't think you should ever punish innovation, productivity, and groups or entities or even individuals who just are seeking to provide that utility to people. But I don't know. But then that's the question. Like, does it come a point when it becomes too much and they start to have too much of an impact? Like, how much can they be regulated? And that's the question. And I wish, I don't know. See, these are probably things I should think about more. But.
Well, that's whenever, because I'm on the outside. I've been on the outside for a while. I'm not in there at school with people. I'm kind of on the backside talking to some people who are entrepreneurs, and you hear people talk about, solving problems, helping people, providing service, providing value to people's lives. And then you also hear about people talking about who's your customer avatar. What do they look like? And it's just, oh, that's so greasy. And that sounds more like you have to think about it from marketing and business perspectives. You have to understand that. But it just sounds so greasy. And that sounds more like the capitalistic. So that can even exist on a lower level. Just because you're a smaller company doesn't mean that you're not exploiting people. And you can have this super greasy sort of, how can I extract people from their money or prey on their inferiorities so that I can get money out of them. And you're far away from Amazon, but you still have that same sort of manipulative thing. And I'm not sure if that's, if that's the person or if that's the person plus, nature versus nurture. Was that what they learned in business school, how to rip people off, or did they get the wrong message, or were they just mean to begin with?
Yeah, that's for sure worth considering. It's one of my roommates before I started working as an RA. He's in the business school, and one of the questions they are currently discussing in their conscientious capitalism class is it possible for a business to exist for any other goal than profit? Like for people problem solving, making the world better, sure, but can a business succeed if that's your driving goal? Like, does profit have to be priority for success? And he's still talking about it. I'm sure they'll have an answer by the end of the quarter, but I thought that was an interesting question. Like, do I have to to a degree, yes, you do. I mean, you can't really operate if you're losing money or not making enough. But yeah, these are good. I think these are great questions to be asking when it comes to these entities. And I'm not sure. I don't know. Maybe are they overblown a little bit? Maybe. I'm sure these questions have been talked about. I mean, it's not like we haven't had Amazons before throughout history. I mean, you've had large organizations and companies and corporations. But
has there been stuff that you've kind of learned over the time that you're so excited that you learned this? You're just like, dude, guys, did you know? I had this buddy of mine in college who was a history major. And like the guy, did you guys know that? I mean, he was so excited about what he was learning. He wanted to share. Like, dude, Kyle, that's great, man. That's awesome. I don't really care about that at all. Have there been things that you're just so excited that you've learned and just like kind of made you hungry and thirst for more information or knowledge or way of doing things?
Absolutely. Fortunately, a lot of it, for the listeners, maybe a lot of it's technical stuff. Like I'm currently in a machine learning class, for industrial applications, and there's some really neat stuff about. It's so clever and just so clever, like to see that people have been able to figure this out. When you step back and see like all this knowledge that we've collected, and like we're able we take advantage of a lot of stuff that works. I mean, just look at your phone. Like, look at it. Like, this device is able to do so much to become such a huge part of our lives. And taking the introductory courses and like electric circuits or coding, and you're like sitting there trying to, code a random number generator, and it's like you're popping error codes. You're like, it's a miracle that I'm able to, log onto my phone, call someone, enter this website, whatever, that it works. That's where a lot of my stuff, my mental, my thoughts go to. Is like, it's a miracle this thing works.
Yeah, I struggle with that a lot because I don't even have the basic sort of knowledge. I'm like, when I ask my freshmen, hey, how does this work? They're like, well, all you have to do is have a signal. Like, that's where I'm at when it comes to mechanical engineering and how these things all work. But it's fascinating that people just stuck with it and got after that and then built and made things better and lighter and faster and more expensive, yet more disposable. But
yeah. But specific knowledge, I think I've had that moment, especially because we still have to take some humanities courses and whatnot. I've had that aha moment, and I took a history class about U.S. history, formation to like right after the Civil War period, and just learning stuff about a lot of it was with slavery, in relation to slavery, and the U.S.'s implications and all of it, and causes and whatnot. It was just interesting, for sure. Interesting, eye-opening. Yeah, probably leave it there. Just a lot of eye-opening stuff when it comes to the history of the nation.
Yeah, it's nice to be exposed to a lot of that stuff, and
absolutely,
it's not a bad thing to look back at history and just say, okay, these are the facts. This is how it went down. Now, what do I do with this? And that's where we tend to get upset with each other, not agree. It's like, well, what do we do about this, and what do we do now? What can we do now? But that's for a whole different different discussion there.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm currently I ran out of classes to sign up for this quarter. I had a class get canceled, and I was late to grab the new one. So I'm currently taking a theater class because I need enough units to still be considered a full-time student. And this is like one of the only things offered. And
Nice.
so we'll be acting. We'll continue the saga of Largim the Performer.
What were you in Nutcracker?
I had quite a few parts. I think I got suckered into. I'm just joking, but I was a Nutcracker Prince and Dr. Stahlbaum, and I think it was like a flower.
Nice.
Yeah, I should throw that on the resume.
That's diversifying, right? Like, it's fun to be a part of a lot of different things, and one of the great things about college is that you can, take those other classes, and everybody is there on purpose. It's not like this whatever class that I'm taking because I have to. It's like, I need 3 credits of upper division, whatever. So let's just take random class, and it can be pretty enjoyable.
Yeah, it's enriching. I mean, you need a break from all the technical stuff. It beats you down after a while. So
Yeah.
all these history, philosophy, psychology courses, they're a breath of fresh air.
Do you have time to kind of totally turn school off and do reading on the side, or podcast listening to on the side? What are you doing at the non-school time?
Non-school time is spent. Well, I also do paid research. So non-school time goes to that, and probably working out. Not really a whole lot for reading. Podcasts I'll listen to when I work out if I'm on the treadmill or running about. But it's I don't know. Maybe I'm probably exaggerating, but I feel like it's very busy. Maybe the fact that it's broken up, like it's not an 8 hours, consecutive 8 hours, but it's broken up, and so it takes time to like focus on one task.
Yeah.
And then switch over, and you got class, and so. I don't know. I don't think I have a plethora of free time, but I don't think I'm also strapped for it.
Yeah. What kind of research are you doing?
Thermal energy storage. Working. Yeah, this one's cool. This also relates to my senior design project, but basically in California, this quick little rundown. Summers get hot, and people use air conditioners. California also has a really big solar energy production, and so while the sun's out and it's hot, most solar provides I think almost 80% of their needs for that part of the day while the sun's out. But the problem arises is end of the day, sun starts to set, but it's still really hot outside, and so people are still running ACs. Well, the renewable energy output decreases, and so you're going to have to use coal power plants or other means. And what our project is trying to do is basically create like a heat sink that you can put in a room and have it just absorb that excess heat. Just keep it cool enough for you to get by until the sun sets, and then you can open up a window and have the house cool down. Basically take the load off air conditioners. So it's a neat little project. Honestly, I don't think it's going to pan out super effectively. As I'm working on it, we're crunching numbers, building prototypes. It's it's not going to work as well as we initially thought.
How much of what you're doing does deal with the failure, though? Was it Edison or someone who's not that you found 200 ways to, you failed 200 times? It's no, we found 200 different ways to not do this correctly, but that's all part of the process. How much is failure part of that whole process?
Oh, it is. I mean, iteration. That's how you get something good. It's rare. It's impossible, I think, to get something good in the first go. So people will call it failure. I like to think of it as iteration.
Yeah.
This iteration didn't work, and so we go on to the next one. But yeah, I can see where this would be fun in a job setting where you have a lot more resources, and you don't really have we got to finish this by the end of this quarter because you need to graduate. But it's more like your job. You got to do it to meet certain other deadlines. It just seems potato, but it just seems in a job setting it would be a lot more impactful and more enjoyable. Just not having all you're focused on would be that project as opposed to I got this class, that class, I got this meeting, and
right. What about turning off the brain? Is that a difficult thing to do, or are you just always kind of looking around and you're having a sandwich at the shop down the street and then you're thinking thermo energy, or are you able to kind of I'm not thinking about it now.
I think right now during my theater classes is probably the only time I don't think about engineering related stuff. It may sound unhealthy. I don't know. Part of it is just who I am. I've always enjoyed this type of stuff, but I also think part of it is the fact I've been doing this for so long. It's that problem solving mentality, like it's built in and instilled into engineers. It sticks around. And so a lot of it is just me just looking around. It's like, all right, what's the problem? Like thinking about what can we fix. It's kind of crazy at times. My friends will look at me and I answer honestly. They'll sometimes say like, what you thinking about? Because I'll zone out and I'll just point blank answer them. Well, I'm thinking about increasing the conductivity of this material to improve its thermal properties. And they just look at me like, okay. And I do that just to get a weird reaction from them too. But honestly, it's the truth. Just a lot of that, my thought process sticks with that. Kind of a nerd and geek in that regard.
Based on who you're hanging out with, they're probably thinking about things that aren't all that dissimilar too.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
That's good. Yeah. Well, what else you got, man? What's on the horizon, on the agenda? Any other things you want to get into here?
Honestly, I didn't come in with anything. I was just glad to. I know you always provide awesome questions, and so I was glad to participate in it. Just have a conversation, but no, not really. Other than the stuff we talked about.
Yeah, it's super valuable to me to get that feedback because every year it's a year longer since I've been in college in that situation. Things are changing, and the way I feel about the prospects of the future could be way different than what a high school kid is feeling, and then someone who's just about ready to graduate and figuring out how to pay school and like what the next thing is. I mean, it's a different world than it was when I was in college, and I didn't even go to college that long ago. But
yeah, paying school part. Yeah, I think I'm a anomaly when it comes to that. I've been able to work my way through it. A little bit of family support, but I'll be graduating debt free this spring. So
nice.
I'm really proud of that.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of money out there in scholarships, but also universities that have endowments, things like that. There's a lot of money out there. It's super expensive, and the tuition is astronomical and crazy. But based on where you're going, what you're going into, and what type of and how hard you work for money or look for money, like it's not always what you read about.
No, absolutely, and I mean it takes sacrifices. I mean you can't go get a Starbucks drink or eat out every day if you're really serious about saving up and trying to pay for it on your own. Taking vacations throughout the summer, you got to make sacrifices, but I don't know. Personally, I think it's worth it. Yeah. Not having debt that can be nasty. So.
Yeah, for sure, man. Cool. Well, thanks for being on here, man. Appreciate it. Always good to talk to you, and it's going to be crazy when your youngest brother graduates. There'll be no more Zhutas in my journalism class.
Oof, maybe wait until 10 years.
Wait, is there another one coming through?
Well,
it's just the three of you, right? Oh, you mean the next generation?
No, it wouldn't be 10. It'd be a lot more. Yeah.
I would hope so.
A lot more.
Sakes.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
You too, Ms. Swan. Thank you.
See ya.
Take care.